Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm very excited to share this with you today as I've been looking forward to doing more iPad art, and I know a lot of you have been quite excited to see more. And I actually have the perfect excuse to do more now, as Lakey Clan reached out to me and asked me to review their product or drawing application called ArtStudio Pro, which I'm really excited to talk about because I really enjoyed using this program. So a little bit about the drawing application. This is ArtStudio Pro made by Lakey Clan. It is available for both the iPad, so iOS, and the computer. There is a computer version for Mac, but today I'm going to be mostly talking about the iPad version, as the iPad version is the one I've had the most practice with so far. So its original price is £11.99 on the App Store, which compared to the other painting program, Procreate, is just a couple pounds more. But I would probably say ArtStudio Pro has a lot more features than Procreate. In fact, I could probably say ArtStudio Pro is like a condensed down version of Photoshop, as it just has filters, unlimited layers, 27 tools, like move, select, crop, all of those that you would find in Photoshop. And I do find the experience of drawing in ArtStudio Pro is a little easier than Procreate. I find Procreate a little bit difficult to use. Although at the time of recording this, I think ArtStudio Pro has more features than Procreate. I know Procreate is actually getting a big update which is adding more features, so I'm not sure how many of those are going to overlap, so forgive me if I get anything wrong. So another thing I really like is the actual layout of this program. I find it very easy to use. You've got all your drop down menus, which a little time learning the program you'll soon find everything you're looking for. Though I will say I had trouble finding the brushes, as when you click on the brush icon you get three options, which is pencil, paint, and then wet paint, which is sort of like painting with real paint, so it drags the colour across and everything. So at first I only thought there were three brushes, but after playing around with the program for a bit I found out that you can actually select different brushes if you click the little icon next to the colour picker. And this program does have a lot of brushes, and it also lets you customize them and change the dynamics, the hardness, the flow. So I was able to make myself a really nice inking pen from one of the sketching pens. I will say if you know Photoshop, I think you'll be able to learn this program very easily. But if you don't know Photoshop, I think we will definitely need some time learning where everything is and all the options and what they do. So I would say it's a little bit of a learning curve, but not too difficult. It's definitely worth it for what you can learn and the effects that you can get later on. So this program obviously lets you have unlimited layers from what I've read, and I did have quite a few layers on this drawing to keep my line art separate, all my sketches. So the Vespa was inked on a separate layer, my character was inked on a separate layer, and then I was able to merge them, and it was just really nice being able to have that freedom of being able to move them around, duplicate them, have different layer styles. But the most helpful thing that I found was the select tool and the transform tools, because when I do digital art I tend to be always moving my artwork about and changing it, transforming it, using the warp tool or the perspective tool in Photoshop. Now this doesn't have a warp tool, but it does have a skew, so that was really helpful if I found that the arm that I drew was a little out of perspective. I just changed it up, and you'll see me doing that a lot later on. But just being able to move things about, just having that freedom was so nice. It made me feel like I was actually drawing digitally, but at the same time I'm kind of drawing on the screen, which gives it a slightly traditional feel. So I was just really happy being able to use those transformation tools to get it exactly how I wanted. So something else I'd like to mention is this does actually have a text tool. And it does come with quite a few fonts as well. I don't know whether you'd be able to add any, but you might not need to. So I was thinking you might be able to make comics with this program, especially on the iPad, which opens up a lot of opportunity to be able to make comics on the go. So that's something I might like to try later on, and something, if you're looking for something like that, that might be a really good option for you. I think more people are actually getting into making comics, and I think this program might be a good investment. So you see me here drawing this little name tag, and this is where the transformation tools really came in handy, just being able to move it about and scale it up and down to get it just the right size. And as you can see here, I was really struggling with the arms and the shoulders, as I didn't know quite the proportions because of the perspective of the arms holding the handlebars of the Vespa, or as I called it, a Liz bike, so I avoid any copyright issues. But again, those transformation tools really saved me, as I was just really struggling with those arms, but eventually I managed to get them looking as they should, so I'm so grateful for those. They work really nicely and really smoothly. Speaking of transformation tools, ArtStudio Pro has something called Elastify, which is kind of like the liquify tool in Photoshop, but this one keeps your pictures very smooth when you move your liner or your painting or your picture. The lines stay very crisp and smooth, and it is really nice to use. I didn't need it so much for this picture, but it is a very good tool if your picture is just looking slightly off and you don't want to redraw it. You can just sort of wiggle things around till they look right. So a little bit about the drawing before I talk about the colouring of this picture. This is just my character Alex from my webcomic, which is currently on a hiatus, but it should be coming off that really soon. I have been slowly chipping away at pages of chapter 2 and plotting and writing down all the future chapter ideas and characters, so I'm very excited to share that and start posting again online. I've been really excited about comics and comic talk and hearing about other people's ideas. But yes, this is my character Alex. She's riding a Vespa. She doesn't have a Vespa in the comic yet, but I think I'm going to give it one. Although obviously I'm renaming it a Liz bike as to avoid any copyright issues, because I know things are getting a little bit wild with the copyright nowadays. Her outfit is also inspired by a couple of new items in Splatoon 2, as I just really like some of the outfits that they've put in the game, so I decided to dress up my own characters in those clothes. It's just something I really enjoy doing. So the thing that really sold me on this program is the magic wand and selection tool, as something I use for my comic a lot is closing up all the line art gaps and using a fill tool to block in all of the base colour. And you were able to do this on this program, which I like so much. You were able to select your line art on all layers. You are able to inverse the selection and then contract the selection, so you're not left with any colour outside of your lines, if you understand what I mean. It's a thing I use for my comic a lot, as it lets me block in the colour really fast, and then just I lock the layer and then just colour in really quickly. So you can see there that I did it, and it just is so nice that I'm able to do this on this program, as it makes colouring so much quicker. So that is just something I really like about this program. And again, if you want to do comics on this really speeds up the process. So the next thing that I did was just go all around the line art, sort of blocking in different colours and then using the bucket tool to fill them in, which again really speeds up the process of finishing this picture. And something really cool about this program is you're able to have multiple documents open at once. I'm not sure if there's a limit to how many you can have open at once, but I had another picture open which had Alex's colour palette on it, and I was able to pick and choose the colours that I wanted and was able to keep her consistent with her official colour palette, which was really good. I really like that aspect, because again, if you're doing, say, comics or a series of pictures that are kind of in theme with each other, let's say you're going with a similar colour palette throughout, you'll be able to pick the colours that you used before and just put them down on your new picture, which I really like. I found that really useful for this, and again, that's obviously great for comics. And of course I had to draw some really detailed trainers again. I just really enjoy drawing shoes and trainers. I had a hard time deciding on the colours for this, as I wanted to keep the colour palette kind of simple. I didn't want to go over the top with too many colours, as I really wanted to play about with the shading later on. And you will see later on I make use of all the clipping masks and all the locked layers to really go to town with the shading and the highlights. So this is where I really went crazy with the shading on this picture. I had sort of planned out that I wanted to have a sort of watercolour effect, but I don't think I really achieved that with the end result. However, I am really happy with how it turned out. And I really experimented with all the different layers and clipping masks, as I really wanted to push how far I could go with this picture and the shading. I was able to alter the colours later on. I was able to colour the line art as well by locking it and adding some purples and pinks. I know I always go for purples and pinks, so I just find they're a good shading colour for these types of pictures, although I did try and change it up with the bright yellow and the dark blues and greys of this picture. I think in general I just really pushed myself with this picture, as I felt if I didn't do a good picture I wouldn't do the program justice, so I really tried to do something different and colourful. So you can see that I've actually drawn like a Vespa, a vehicle. I've actually been on a really good streak of being able to draw vehicles and cars lately. I really enjoy drawing them, which is so strange for me, and being able to draw a character sat on it and interacting as well. So I am actually really happy with this picture, and this program did make this kind of drawing very easy. I found this whole process to be really enjoyable. I didn't use the wet paints for this piece so much. I had a little go with them, but I'm not quite used to how they work, so I did stick to just sort of the airbrush and default brushes for painting. I feel this program would be great for digital speed paints though, and digital painting in general if you're going for a more painterly feel. I feel kind of doing line art was a little bit difficult, but not too bad, as I kind of wanted my drawing to have a kind of organic feel to the line art. I didn't want it to be too smooth or shiny. I kind of wanted it to look very sketchy, and I think I was able to achieve that in this piece. So we're coming close to the end of this video, and I just thought I'd share my final thoughts about this program. I would really recommend it. It is actually wonderful to draw with, especially if you want to experiment more with line art and painting, and especially comics. If you want to do comics, I feel like this would be a really good investment, as it's easy to use. The amount of transformation and selection tools will make things easy if you want to move them around and duplicate, transform, whatever you want. I found it very freeing, and it's made me fall in love with drawing on the iPad. So I just want to say a big thank you for Lakey Clan for letting me be able to try out and test their application. It is really nice and really good to use, and I am very grateful for them for letting me try it. I will say at the end of my drawing I did take it into Photoshop for some final adjustments with colour and saturation, and I did add the blue background in Photoshop, but I could have done that in this program. The only reason I didn't is because I'd actually exported it to my computer and deleted it off the iPad before I made the final changes, so that was the only reason. You can do colour adjustments and saturation, hues and all that in this program. I just deleted it too quickly before I could do that. And I can say it's really easy exporting files on this. You are able to email them, do AirDrop if you've got that sort of program on your computer, and you can export it as a PSD file, a PNG. They give you so many options, and honestly this is just such a nice program to use, so I can really give it a positive review. So I do hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope I didn't ramble too much about this program. I hope my drawing did the program justice, as that was something I was really worried about. I am really happy with this piece. It came out very similar to what I had in mind for once. I did want to add a background as well, but I feel it would have made it a little bit too cluttered. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye!